Good to see you. I'm posting the chat, so if anybody has comments, you're welcome to make them. Try not to make them too, hey, so-and-so, great to see you on the program. Yeah, I mean, just try not to make it too casual chat, so that I don't have to keep reading them. I think it's great sometimes to do that. You're chatting with each other totally, but sometimes you're, giving each other feedback on your hairdo, and that's probably not best right here, especially right now, this program. I'm very, very grateful to the team members, for putting this together in 2 hours. So there are some things we missed a little bit. A couple of things I was going to put into the letter that went out, but we had to get it out, so I'm glad it got out. So we might, if there's any holes in information, sorry about that. And then I also noticed we didn't announce it in our Facebook, I don't think, our Circle of Friends Facebook group. So I think they're doing that now, to let them know. We just knew to get this in our mailing list group from our center. But I've told so many people, make sure you're on everything of ours, because if one doesn't work, another will. They'll reach you better. Yeah, so what are we doing? We have lots and lots of people signed on, so bless you. Oh my God, there's so much going on, and it's an interesting thing, the condition of the world. I guess I'll sort of just jump right in. Some of you have not seen me in a Zoom program like this, so thank you for joining us, and greetings to you. It's a nice way for us all to connect. I like keeping it on the not the picture where it's just one person like myself. I like to keep it on the whatever they call it, the photo album looking thing, so that I can see everybody as much as possible. And I do scroll here and there to the different pages to see who's on. So you just saw the message now, so anxious to join, Emmy says. Very important prayer circle. My camera isn't working, so my image will not show. That's okay, thank you. Thank you. And every so often, Valerie will draw a line underneath when I'm done reading so that we can keep track of how far I've read. One private message. Okay, yeah, well, glad to have you on, all of you. All right, so I'm gonna begin sharing a couple of thoughts first. Why, and then some prayer time. This is kind of what just came to us. The bottom line is that we have, a lot going on in the world. So there's two topics. One is that we're going to have a monthly prayer, probably 12-hour prayer thing, maybe like from noon to midnight, the first Sunday of every month. Now, it doesn't, matter. You might miss a month. Maybe, you're out of town that day and you have no internet. Who knows? Maybe you passed away and you couldn't join us, but whatever, it doesn't matter, because you just join wherever you are, however you can, but do something. And I believe that there's a possibility the day will come. Let's say, for example, you don't have internet, you still have God. You still have your monthly connection to God, and make it weekly if you like. It's not going to help you to do anything else for the most part. If you say, I don't have time for monthly prayer, monthly, you're kidding me. I'm lenient. God asked for once a week for you to give him some time. I'm just saying, hey, try once a month, so count your blessings. But, once a month to connect, to devote to God. But I'm saying, if the internet's down, man, you can have the inside plugged into God. The time's going to come, you won't have your phones. You won't be walking around doing this, on your little gadgets. You're going to have to feel people. Your kids may not live in the same area, and you're just going to have to tell them, look, the day that stuff, if it ever happens, I'm with you. And they'll just have to know it, because your house, whatever that looks like or is the space you've got. You're not going to be able to go and everywhere, and the travel won't. I mean, that's the way the world is going. The travel and everything won't be quite the same. Okay, let's see. Saw your invite, so timely, many things going on. Yes, shared this with friends of mine around the country. Wow. Powerful energy evening with full moon, lunar eclipse tomorrow morning. Next lunar eclipse is in 3 years. A huge energy vortex tonight and the next 8 hours. Absolutely. But let me say this. Red moon, purple moon, golden moon, princess moon, coyote moon, I don't care. Nothing is stronger than you. Absolutely. Believe it or not. You created the moons, so they're not stronger than you. You created all the stars. That's why Mother Mary and the goddess in the tarot deck, which is Mother Mary in the tarot deck. Tarot is, spelled backwards, is Torah. So the tarot is like the law of God, the Torah, put in picture form. And so the card of Mother Mary, the universal mother, she's always depicted a couple of things. She always has her foot on the moon, which means I am the master of my emotions. But she also is often typically wearing a crown, 12 stars. Now, some artists don't know what they're doing, and they go, I'm going to give her a crown. Ooh, and I think I'll just put a bunch of stars. But if they understand it, it's like if you ever see Greek, Polish icons painted, Eastern European icons, they don't just paint things. That everything in those is important. How many fingers are held up, which hand, the colors of the robes, it's all important. It's the same with tarot. So the goddess, the mother of the universe, has a crown of 12 stars. And the 12 stars are the signs of the zodiac, and it means I am in control. They are in my mind. So it's the same for you. Yeah, you have to understand that we're in charge of it. Now, that doesn't mean we are to get arrogant or self-inflated, because then when you do that, you lose your God self, and then the universe says, aha, the ego part of the universe is going to kick your butt because it says you thought you were greater than us. You can only do that in your humble God self, ironically. Humble God self. That sounds like they're mutually exclusive terms. But your divine self is humble because it knows. It doesn't have to preach, say, do. It just knows. And so you're right. You are right to affirm your power. You're right, but do it with God. Of myself, I am nothing. With God, I am all things, and I have the power over all things. Jesus is the first master to have attained Christ consciousness, and he's the first that was given then, the only that was given then, the keys to the universe. What do you think that means? It means he can unlock anything. It means he's in complete control of it all. You can say, well, what about Gandhi? Gandhi was an interesting guy, that's all. Well, what about my grandmother was really nice? No. It's different to be the Christ. It's different. I'm not saying he holds it over your head. I'm saying we're grateful that one of us got there and can show the rest of us. He's an elder brother. So, draw a line after Sandy's comment about the vortex energy. Yeah. So just, to share some of these points, why tonight? Well, we've been so busy, and we needed to accomplish some things at the center. We have the Global Center for Christ Consciousness, obviously. We needed to finish some things there before I could talk about predictions, which I'm not doing. I'll do a little tonight, but not a lot, because we need to get other things done. But if we wait too long, it's too late. So we're trying to get some things done. But yes, tomorrow, tonight, is a blood moon. The blood moon in many traditions, to the Jewish elders, to Native American masters, many of them, the blood moon, we're not trying to make anything have power over us at all. I'm just saying it's all symbolic. Just because something is a symbol of good or foreboding energy doesn't mean it has power over you. It's there's a sign on the street that says stop. It's just a sign, but it's still valuable, isn't it? But you don't have to take it as having power over you. So we're living in precarious times. And in our lifetime, we're seeing a plague, like in the early 1900s, a depression, like in the 1930s, a world war, like in the 1910s and 30s. We're going to see famine and earth changes that have never been witnessed on this planet. The closest thing would be Atlantis being destroyed, and that was only a part of the earth. And I know some of you don't believe in Atlantis, that's fine, but I'm just telling you, this is all, everything's going to happen all at once. Asteroids, Atlantean-like deluges, volcanic activity, everything's going to happen all at once. That's not happened before. The plagues such as Egypt, like that, a lot is coming down. And it's important to remember timelines, like what they call a Bible generation of 40 years. So you notice the importance of 40 years, 40 days and 40 nights in the Bible, or the 40 years of the Israelites. There's 40 is a recurring theme. And what happens with us is, as Edgar Cayce also pointed out, is that in 1958, a 40-year timeline started and ended in 1998. 68, 78, 88, 98, okay? Now, anytime you hit cycles within the 40 years, 10-year cycles, like 1988 was a very big year, huge year. Lots of teachers that you studied under from in the 1990s became teachers because of pivotal things in 1988. It was my first visit to Egypt and going to Medjugorje and meeting, there's the children who were having visits with Mother Mary, but I was invited to one of them to go to their house and sit with them. And that was a very rare thing, that they don't do that very often. But 1988, it was pivotal for me. But I know, and I remember people that wrote books in the 90s were talking about 1988, wow, and they weren't putting it together, but it was the last quarter of the 40-year cycle. Anyway, 98 starts another cycle to 08, 18, 28, 38. There's the end of another cycle. We're having, on average, you have 2 blood moons a year on average. That's about it. It's a lot, but it's about it. And it's significant. Guess what? In 1938, at the end of this current 40-year cycle, you have 4 blood moons in 1 year. Because 2038 is the end of everything. Okay, give or take. Believe it or not, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not a converting person. I don't preach. I just say it like it is, and then that's it. Okay, I mean that's it. It's okay. Edgar Cayce confirmed this when they asked him to read the prophecies of the Great Pyramid of Giza that nobody can read, and he, without going into all that, he told them that when they do the measurements of the King's Chamber and all the rest, because all the years of since Atlantis, all the years of mankind is measured in the hallways, and it's in measurements, it's in math, in the Great Pyramid. And when you finally get to the end, the King's Chamber, the very top chamber, the King's Chamber, and the back of the King's Chamber, the measurement will end in 2038. So there's another confirmation, but it's also the end of another 40-year cycle. So even if you don't agree with Cayce or me, it just happens to be another end of a 40-year cycle. And 40 years prior to that end, you had 1998. Right around that time, you had a rare grand cross astrologically, the end of a millennium. And a couple of years later, you had 9/11. Major events are happening. Even the 9/11 thing is part of our lifetime. A lot of things are happening. And then 2012 was a very significant event. But there's lots going on. So that's just giving you kind of a, just a point, a synopsis of why I'm talking about this timing. I'm not going into all the reasoning, but there's, oh my God, there's a lot going on, guys. And just kind of a few more pieces. Let me make it clear. Generally, I'm right about the predictions and things like that, but that's not very fun because it usually means some heavy things are going on. But all that's happening, whether it's Nostradamus, the Aztecs, the Mayans, Vedic astrology, all these various sources, guys, they're all agreeing, right? They're all agreeing it's now something's happening. This is it. And some people say, oh, that's what they said about 2012. And they were right, 2012. It is part of the ending. So you can think differently, but try and just sit back and open your mind and ask any category. Ask energy consultants and they'll say, we're in trouble. Ask economists and they're going to tell you, we're in trouble. You get to the point, you ask astronomers and they'll say, yes, it's funny because we're past due for an asteroid. Ask people that are into specific sciences, geosciences, and they're telling you the Earth's magnetic field is lowering, it's deadening. And when it happens, when the magnetic field, which is dropping scientifically, it's dropping. When it drops far enough, it results in what's called a pole shift. Surf's up. Nothing like waves when you have a pole shift, So guys, take it from any direction you want, and it's all saying the same thing. This is heavy stuff, heavy times. But I will add, I'll say, got to practice daily communion exercises. That's a free download on my website, or any form of communion with God in the morning and at night. And it doesn't mean we all have to become like priests and nuns, just totally devout, wearing one monochromatic and staying at home and no fun. Live your life, do what you want to do, but become light workers more and more and more. Practice a life of love and forgiveness towards others, commune with God, practice a life of love and forgiveness with others, towards others, and also practice a life of generosity. Love and forgiveness within yourself towards others, but generosity. Help wherever you can, however you can. That's that light worker concept. But before we do prayer, please remember, we'll talk about predictions later and how it's all going to go down. I won't give you day by day, blow by blow like that, but as close as I can. The timing of everything is not in stone. The timing, the chronology is not in stone. You might have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it could be, instead, it might be 1, 4, 2, 3. The chronology is not locked in, although it's generally locked in. But it's not exactly, because, guys, the outer world is a reflection of the inner world. The changes we make inside will, I'm telling you, it will affect. It has to affect. The world is only a reflection of our inner self. Do you generally agree? Do you understand that? Do you know that? Generally, that's it. It's a reflection of our inner self. Well, if we agree that that's true, and you and I practice communion with God, forgiveness within our hearts and towards others, and a life of generosity, guess what? It can't not work. It's like algebra, 2 negatives equal a positive. So it's okay if I say can't not. Okay? So we're okay. You want to make a difference? Let's make a difference. Complaining about it isn't going to help. I'll tell you what's coming down because it's good for you to know. But the goal is not to be afraid. The goal is to say, what would you have me do, God? Every one of us are warriors. You've endured a divorce, you've endured this, you've endured low finances. We've had our challenges. Well, now it's just going to be all of those times 1,000, all at the same time. Surf's up. It's going to be some challenging times. But Christ consciousness teaches us it is impossible for you to not be involved in what you see in your life. Change your mind and you'll change your life. However, bad news is, seemingly bad, but it's not. The bad news is that the world we see is a reflection of us individually and collectively. So you can be walking down the street, Om Mani Padme Hum, and doing a great job adding to the good in the world, and the world can be, by and large, as a collective, just killing it, destroying the world. So you mystics, light workers, you're first and foremost having to get your own self together. And I hope that you do so much good that the world will reflect the good you do. It generally does. But if the world is in enough fear and hate, they're going to have their own little story. You might be walking in bliss, and the world around you might be walking in garbage. Almost every second of every day, Jesus walked in bliss. And yet, look what was happening around him. Heal us, fix us. And he knew they were all hypocrites. They were saying, fix us so we don't have to look at our own issues. So eventually he said, fix yourself. Meaning, come on, I can fix you. I have compassion. I want to help. But when are you going to step in and take responsibility? Look at yourself. Come on, I'll show you how. See how I'm not reacting to people beating me up? That's how to do it. So when you go through a divorce, bounce back. You can resurrect from every mini death of this world. Bounce back. I know you can. Lazarus, come forth. He's showing us how. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't understand that we're scared or we have our challenges and so on. Okay? So, the power is in our hands. And great news, I can tell you, something that I said in the Monday Zoom program earlier today. If you guys aren't in that, just remember you can go to our circle of friends. I think it's called Friends of Michael Mirdad. Is that what it is, Valerie? The Facebook one? Friends of Michael Mirdad Facebook group. You can get in that, and then you can interact with us that are a little more tight interacting. And if you're in that, you have to be in that to be in our Zoom program, which is Monday mornings from 11 till whenever Michael shuts up. It's usually 2 hours. That's what everybody asked for, is 2 hours. So we usually go, give or take 15 minutes. It sounds like a long time, but it really kind of goes by fast. Yeah. Anyway, I said this on our Zoom program earlier. This is going to be a big storm around us. And our job is to stay in the center. It is possible to be there, even when the storm is going. If the world has famine, you can actually get to a place where you're hungry for a few days, centered in God, hungry for a few days, and then the hunger disappears. And you won't be subject to it like other people. Other people, when they get hungry, I'm not giving you a speech about famine, I'm just telling you that's a potential piece here. But other people in famine, they go mad. They lose their minds when they haven't eaten, and they will act out. Look at the riots in the streets just out of tangential crap from people. That's nothing compared to what things can look like. So our job, you and I, our job, any of us that want to be light workers and making a difference, Our job is to anchor the light of God for us to survive this and also to make a difference for others. Okay? All right. That said, this blood moon it's the first time in history it's happening on an election day. And that's kind of interesting, to say the least, volatile, however you want to say it. It's interesting, it's volatile, it's wow. And then I realized, you know what? A lot of people are afraid. We're going to put some prayer to this. Now, no matter what words I use, prayer can look like anything when your heart is asking, connecting. It could be quiet and you're calling in the presence of God and feeling illuminated. That's prayer. But prayer is also, geez Louise, God help us, and that's okay. It's like that's what you're feeling. So remember the rules if you're going to be praying with us. It's that I don't care if you light a candle and do a Mother Mary Catholic vigil. I don't care if you're doing affirmation. I don't care if you're doing decrees. Just know you're doing it for yourself and others. You're asking God to help. And if that's you begging, good for you. If that's you decreeing, great. But the world's going to get to a place where they're more and more going to try to prove that believing in God is an insanity. It's an immature concept. And that's because, despite what many of us New Agers think, there is an evil. It's the ego gone rampant. It's the ego in us manifesting. So we call it evil. I'm not giving it a pitchfork and horns. I'm just talking about when the ego is left unchecked and it goes nuts. Yeah, it causes this craziness, and we're heading there. The good news is this thing that looks like this column of light. The world's stormy. This column of light, the work we're doing as prayer is to anchor the light of God until this happens. The width of that center widens until it fills the whole space of existence. Okay? And there is only God. We're not fighting evil, nor fighting the ego, but we are needing to be humble and recognize we need help in this. You will not fix this with any of your medical knowledge, scientific knowledge, parenting knowledge, counseling knowledge. Nothing of this world is going to fix it. It takes humility and calling in our Creator. We're children that have strayed, prodigal son story, and we're just playing the role of the prodigal son that gets home. Others are halfway through the story, so they're acting out more. But time's running out. So believe it or not, when we seemingly left heaven, that's the way it seems to have happened. We set an alarm. We're going to go away for a while and go into a realm of craziness. But since you can't really leave God, there was a time limit put on it. And the alarm going off, people are trying to push the snooze button and pretend this isn't happening. But the alarm started going off. Okay? It started going off technically 1998. The change of the millennium, the end of this grand cross 98, the change of a millennium, the 9/11, the 2012 syndrome, all this stuff happening within a short number of years. That was the alarm going off. And people just keep putting Band-Aids on it and thinking it's all over with. And I'm thinking, oh God, we're in the home stretch of all the hundreds of thousands or millions of years mankind has been here. We're in the final 40 years. Okay? And we made it through the first 10 of those years from 98 to 08. And '08 was a major stock market crash too, by the way. As far as I understand, I'm not into the stock market, but that's how people perceive it. Some people perceive it. So 98 to 2008, and then 2018. There's the first, that was halfway through. Okay. Now we're halfway through the third quarter. So we've only got, a little more than a dozen years left. Everything has to happen in those years. Okay. And it's all compressing. So if you and I pray to lessen the blow, then the blow has to be pushed back, still having a deadline. You see what I mean by that? If you miss your medicine and you're supposed to take medicine 4 times and you forgot 3 times and you go and try to take all 4 pills at one time at the end of the day, it's not always the best thing, right? So pushing it back sounds good, but we still have certain things that have to happen. Guys, veils have to be lifted. We can either do that the easy way or the hard way. Veils being lifted means forgiveness, but it also means awakening. Develop a closer relationship with God. All that said, I know that some of you may not want to hear all this and may not want me to continue like that, but I just wanted to at least get that much out. We have a blood moon. It's never happened on an election day. Blood moons traditionally mean there's a heavy period happening. Like a blood moon, like a menstrual period. There's some cramps, there's some changes, there's some aches, and there's the bleeding out of tissue that's no longer needed in that body that's now mensing out. It's like that. And being a moon, you have the red blood moon. It's interesting if you think about it. Red, a color of our, it could be a positive fire, but it could be our anger. Blood can have a symbol of loss and tragedy. There's positives to all this, but the moon represents emotion. That's why it moves the tides of the earth. It moves water, which is your second chakra, water, emotion. So that red moon, that blood moon, is a lot of heavy cleansing emotionally. Is it bad? Well, hell no. I'm glad that a woman who has a uterus bleeds it out because it gets rid of the tissue. She wouldn't live if she didn't. So we too need that. Forgive me for speaking on behalf of women's uteruses. Okay. For the sake of uteruses all around the world, we're grateful that the body's functioning and letting go of this. So what are we going to do? So we're not cursing this. We're not fearing it, but we are saying it's a sign. And here's my attitude about this. I refuse to give in to that stuff. The attitude, there should be a certain amount of no. This is not stronger than us. This is not more powerful. Not no fighting it. No, it's impossible that these things have power over us. So that's part of our attitude in our prayer. One of you asked me to share some decrees. Decrees are like affirmations on steroids. So they're more intense and intent-oriented. So I will share a little of that. Decrees. Let's begin. Some relaxed, centered breaths, please. Good. We inhale, we hear the words, I am. We exhale, at peace. Or you can use the word relaxed. I am relaxed, centering. You see, that's all, centering. Heavenly Father, Mother God, in this moment, we are following your request that two or more gather with one intention. We are gathered, therefore we are in our Christ self, empowered as spiritual family. Beloved Father, Mother God, we are very, very clear and learning to accept that the times we're in are the end of times, and time is an illusion. So it's the end of illusion. This is a time of great celebration. However, beloved Father, Mother God, beloved Holy Spirit, beloved Divine Mother, we still, in our own ways, have hesitation, fear, inhibition, all kinds of disturbing emotions around these times. Many people around us are concerned about politics, elections, upheavals. In you, none of this exists. And all we're calling in is your presence, which means it can disperse all of this. I, as an individual, choose to be part of this solution. That is for any of us as individuals. Yet I understand that the collective is a bigger wheel that turns slowly with all the little wheels turning inside. So I notice that there's one other and another small wheel. The more of us that do this together, we're moving that bigger wheel. We're moving it to a place of completion so that the sooner that wheel turns all the way around, it too is done. All illusion is done. All fear, all ego, gone, done. And it can be effortless. We know, beloved Mother, we know that we've miscreated a world. We tried to make an existence without your presence, and that's not only impossible, fruitless, but it's painful. And we own any part we've played in any of this and in any lifetime. We put this all on the altar in our heart to you, Mother, so you can reach from the heavens into our heart and lift it up and out of us. Leaving this altar empty for you to then bestow upon this heart center, this altar, your presence. Father, Mother, God, we surrender all things that would contribute to any challenges this week, this decade, or in time itself. We have the right and the power to do so. We're giving all of this up. We're calling for peace to be felt in each and all of us. The peace of God is what we are. Therefore, it is possible for us to feel that peace. It's not a special request. It's who we are. It's our right. We have gambled it and bargained it away through new beliefs in low self-worth that replaced true self-worth. We know that we've bargained away the truth of who we are. And today we're saying we were mistaken, and we ask for only God's truth to step in and fill our being. In this moment, we absolutely see and feel in our heart and soul, every particle of our being, we're calling in the light of the Holy Spirit. Let's imagine for a moment, no matter what's happening outside, rain or shine, positive or negative weather forecast, economics, and whatever else the world will do as it will. But as for me and mine, I will serve the living God. I'm centered in God. No matter the ups and downs of the weather, the economy, I'm centered in God. I'm always prosperous. I can always be healthy. This is the real me. This is the truth of God. And I feel so certain about this and so empowered by this that I can not only pray for it, I will this goodness to everyone. I will this to all political leaders, all of them, the feel of God's presence. It's their right as children of God to feel your presence. Holy Spirit, I call this into all religious leaders. The power and presence of God, I'm seeing it so clearly in every person incarcerated, in mental institutions or jails. The light of God has come. Open your heart to receive it. To every abused child in every life and lifetime and generation, crying in their closets, in their beds, under their beds, in the streets, not knowing what can bring them good. I hear you. And the answer is here. Let me participate in willing into your heart, little one, the presence of God. And it changes you forever. Even if it changes you but by one drop, the drop will grow to an ocean. Into all men, throughout all time, all women. To the heart and being of every senior that felt alone or just as a person. Any person that ever felt alone and ached in their heart for something, it's right here. You and I are one and the same. We're all connected. So we have the right and the power to will into your being answers and solutions to any challenge. To all people throughout the world that ever existed here, we say, standing together in the name of Christ and blessing this entire prayer, and every particle of this prayer is the Holy Spirit of God, the power of the mother aspect of God in this universe. We say to every one of you, arise from the dead, come forth. A new life awaits you. And in seeing it for you, we're also expanding it in ourselves. And together, we're home. To the moon, you're a part of me. We created you. Calm down. Turn from crimson anger red, not literally as a color, a symbol. Calm it. Be passion. Newfound energy. Be light. Beautiful. To the moon. We are so sorry that we put that on you, that you're some evil symbol. It's not possible. You're a reflection of the mother. No matter how the politicians, the moon, and the tides respond tomorrow, we will do our best to hold the vision of righteousness that God's will is done. Not to waver. And if we do waver, let's forgive ourselves for doubting the power of God and bounce back to a holy vision. In the name of my Father, Mother God, the Holy Son, the Christ, my true identity, and the Holy Spirit, I affirm the presence of complete holiness in and around me, thus making sacred my spirit, mind, and body. I affirm the guidance and assistance of my elder brother, Jesus, my spiritual sisters and brothers all around the world, Archangel Michael, my beloved mother, Mary, and all ascended masters of light. My Father, Mother God, whose presence is heaven and is within all life, sacred and holy is your name, the I am within me. Your kingdom and will are manifest here and now through each righteous choice that I make, just as it is in heaven. Bring to me this and every day all that you will to draw me closer to my remembrance of the divine Christ within me and teach me to be as forgiving as you. I joyously choose your holy voice as my guide through moments of both inspiration and challenge, thus receiving all the gifts you intend for me. I gratefully affirm that my will is no longer apart from your divine will, but instead, your will is what I choose as my will. Therefore, I choose to rise above my ego so that you can deliver me from all illusionary forces that seem to manipulate me in mind, body, and soul. I vow to be more of God's kingdom and to extend this kingdom each and every day. I joyously surrender my body and soul to the Spirit of God and allow myself to be filled with the truth of who I am. I joyously accept the knowingness that God fills my mind throughout the day. Be in my mind when I wake, my Father, Mother God, and shine on me throughout the day, today and every day. Let every minute be a time in which I dwell with you. Let me not forget my minute-by-minute thanksgiving that you have reminded me and you have remained with me and always will hear my call and will answer me. As evening comes, let all my thoughts still be of you and of your love. Let me sleep sure of my safety, certain of your care, and happily aware that I am and always will be your holy child. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. And after each decree, you can repeat that with me and I'll do it again now. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously accept the knowingness that peace now fills my mind. This is a spiritual decree and will do each chakra. Be still my mind and think a moment upon this. The earth is still along with me. It's quiet and still. In this stillness, we find the peace of God. Peace be to me and peace to all the world. In holiness was I created, and in holiness do I remain. Father, Mother God, it is your peace that I give, receiving it of you. I am your holy child, forever just as you created me. For the great rays of light remain forever still and undisturbed within me. I reach to them in silence and in certainty, for nowhere else can certainty be found. I rest a while with you, God, in peace. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously accept the knowingness that God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Father, Mother God, I remember you are here and I am not alone. I have no cause for anything except perfect peace and joy that I share with you. I have no need for anger or fear as I am surrounded by perfect love, stillness, and safety. Your eternal promise goes with me. You created me in holiness as your own, and in this holiness I remain. I am as God created me, and I will to be the Christ on earth. And I'm shifting to decrees for the heart. The last was the upper three chakras. This is for the heart. I joyously surrender all ego belief and separation and instead allow my heart and soul to be filled with the presence of God in the form of love, peace, joy, and inspiration. I joyously surrender the ego belief that I'm separate from God and that God is not where I am. I am separated from God only by my choice to be so and by a veil of illusions created by my ego. My I am presence is God and is the Christ that dwells within me. For now, it's like a seed or a child waiting to be nurtured into maturity. Therefore, I claim my true identity as the Christ child of God. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender my ego beliefs that I can be separate from God, and I choose to look at this lie with no fear, no sense of shame, no guilt, no denial on my part in creating this belief. As I heal my misperceptions about being separate from God, his love and light confirm their presence by speaking to me through my intuition, imagination, and creative impulses. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego belief that oneness with God means the loss of my individuality. Oneness with God means the awakening of my God-given individuality. Therefore, my individuality is enhanced, not lost. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego belief that God blames and judges me for the decisions I've made. I am responsible for creating my ego and for judging myself for doing so. Therefore, I choose to forgive myself for these decisions and accept the truth of who I am and what I deserve. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. We'll move into the mind decree. I joyously surrender the ego thoughts that cause me to be afraid to confront my beliefs in the separation from God. I choose to look at the false belief with no fear, no sense of shame, no guilt, and no denial for my part in creating this thought. God's grace is given me now. By this grace I live, by this grace I am released, and by this grace I also release others. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego thoughts of control of my ego that it had over me for so long. That I choose to let the ego become the nothing that it is, so that I can win my immortal life of Christ consciousness. I now walk in perfect holiness and return to the awareness that I am God's holy child, made in God's image. God's peace and joy are mine. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender ego thoughts that create self-doubts within my lower mind to keep me from trusting that I am as God created me. I choose to discipline my thoughts and all things of my mind and choices so that I allow even my lower mind to be filled with God's pure light and love. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender ego thoughts that when I feel disoriented and alone, I need to follow the guidance of my lower mind, which is sure to cause me to become desperate and make rash, fear-based decisions. Instead, I allow God's gentle, loving voice to be my only guide. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. The emotional decree. I joyously surrender ego emotions that lead humanity to form unhealthy attachments to the things of this world. I choose to be the presence of God in this world, which means I am complete as I am. Therefore, this world offers me nothing that I don't already have. I choose to manifest the non-attached consciousness of the Christ. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender ego emotions that create all forms of unhealthy codependent relationships. I return to truly loving and respecting my own true self. My relationships now reflect my progress, and my relationships are based on healthy interdependence. I affirm that every aspect of my interactions with others is the perfect vehicle for the fulfillment of my divine plan to remember my true identity. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego emotions that cause me to engage in arguments that originate in the dualistic mind. I choose to remain above all duality, that's politics in every form of duality, in my emotions, and to reflect only the unified consciousness of the Christ mind. I cannot be in emotional conflict, as there's no will but God's. I seek the peace of God today. On a clean slate, within my emotional body, God's peace and happiness are now written. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. And I joyously surrender the ego emotions that I have been abandoned by God or by important people in my life. Only my belief that I'm unlovable can make me feel abandoned and alone and in a hostile world. All others are merely actors on my stage, playing their parts ever so perfectly. Love created me like itself. In truth, I could never be abandoned or unlovable. I am the love and presence of God. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. And the physical decree. I joyously surrender all ego manifestations of separation and instead allow my physical and material life to reflect more of God. I joyously surrender the ego manifestations of being dependent on others to change the world or make a difference. God in me empowers me to make any and all necessary changes to bring about the kingdom of heaven. With God, all things are possible. I am not the doer. It is the I am Christ presence within me that's the doer. From inspiration to action, I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego manifestations that try to convince me that there is anything outside myself that can fulfill me. I am created in the image and likeness of my divine Father, Mother, God, and I have access to the abundance of God right here, right now, within myself. I need nothing from outside myself. I need nothing from this world in order to be who I am. I am complete and whole. My outer circumstances are creations of consciousness, and all limitations can be overcome through the mind of Christ. God is the source in which I trust. It is only by God that I am sustained. His very presence offers me all that I could ever truly desire. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego manifestations that say that as God's children, we must remain financially poor or limited in any way. In God, there is no lack or poverty. I am made in God's image, and therefore I experience no lack or poverty. God's will is for my financial abundance and freedom. I will be the will of God made manifest on earth. Therefore, I will be prosperous. I demand the manifestation of God's will of abundance for me and all of God's creation. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego manifestations of lack and limitation. Such beliefs and their manifestations are, in fact, against the will of God. When I seem to experience limitations, my soul has fallen then into a state of separation from my I am presence. I actively accept God's abundant life, which is already mine. It is God's will that I have the abundant life, and thus I do not have to earn it. I now accept what God gives me freely. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender ego manifestations of sickness or poor health. I choose to learn the lessons of forgiveness that all painful experiences conceal. I will forgive, and this will disappear. I call forth the manifestation of God's will in which all people have perfect health, vitality, and long lives. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I joyously surrender the ego manifestations of war or conflict in any form. I call forth the manifestation of God's will where all people live in everlasting peace. I accept that God's will is for Mother Earth to be in perfect harmony. All human beings now choose light over darkness. I am as God created me, and I will to be the Christ on earth. In sealing this prayer, in the name of my Holy Father, Mother God, the Holy Son, the Christ, my true identity, and the Holy Spirit, I accept I am one with my I am presence, and that through that oneness, I am sealed from all ego illusions and the appearances they project onto the screen of life. Today, I am one with God and with my brothers and my true self. I affirm that Archangel Michael and his legions consume this planetary force of Antichrist consciousness. My Christ self exposes and consumes all power previously given to my ego and all its manifest forms. Having surrendered all illusions, the prince of this world comes and finds no resonance in me. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My finances are the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My health is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. This election is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. The blood moon is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. The entire planet is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My family is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My job is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My household is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Everything about my life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. God is raising the earth into a glorious new day. Today I choose to live and be the will of my Father, Mother, God. Today I choose the life of Christ. The kingdom of God is manifest in me and on earth now and forever. And so it is. There are many changes coming to the world, which means also coming to our lives. This has nothing to do with a God retribution. It's the children of God punishing themselves for acting so foolishly and thinking they could live without love. We can learn that lesson the easy way or the hard way. The easy way involves taking responsibility and the willingness to be courageous enough to put it on the altar of God without believing that God's going to be there like a whack-a-mole to smack you when you put that on the altar. God's grateful when we give up illusions. And in this process that we're all walking into, I know some of it, the wording is different for each person. I understand. But this whole event is so magical. Sad about the stuff going on, but the goal is the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's so, well, that's beyond words. We're going home, but we don't disappear in God and become all blissed out. What we're going to do is experience a new dimension, a new life here for a while, where peace is on earth. The world will be egoless because we're all going to be in our Christ self. That's great, great news. But helping us, midwifing us, stewarding us, leading us, believe it or not, Mother Mary, Jesus Christ, ascended masters, light beings. There's all kinds of beings of light on the other side, seemingly invisible to most, guiding this along. And different religions put their different spins. It's all so silly. There are Catholics channeling Mother Mary, but they won't call it that. They'll call it a vision of the Mother, the Virgin. It's channeling. Someone else is channeling astral beings about this ending. Other people are channeling ascended masters, but they're all getting the same information, but in their own little wording. Honor all of it if it's of the light. So the Mother, you hear her speaking differently in Medjugorje. Beloved children, in her gentle voice, beloved children, the things are coming to this world. I'm sorry that these things are coming. It's going to be painful for you, my children, but I love you. And I want you to simply open your life up to my Son, she'll say to those children, the Christ. And if you're talking to Jesus, it depends. If you're a Mormon, you might hear him one way, a New Thought person another. But I can promise you, when you hear Mary say, the hand of my Son is a heavy hand, and it's coming to divide and destroy, she doesn't mean that. That's the wording, the channel filtered it. If you heard her speak to you, you should be able to hear, the hand of my Son is very clear. It's well directed and it's inspired. The hand of my Son is coming to lift you out of your former life. It's not coming to destroy. That's the old programming of the last judgment, means the day that God gets to take it out on us. And instead, it's where there's no more judgment. The last judgment. There's no more judgment. Oh, thank God. That means my ex won't know. It means you won't. You won't judge yourself. You won't judge others. And when you have no judgment, you're in total peace. It doesn't mean there aren't people around you spitting, slandering, and crucifying. But those people will never cease to exist until enough of us forgive them, for they know not what they do. There will always be deadbeat dads until we have forgiven enough of them. There will always be neglectful moms until we've forgiven enough of them. We have to forgive them for the games they play, the roles they play, and they'll stop playing them. If you're a director, all you do is fire the actor. And if you're a good director, you probably shouldn't obsess on the actor you fired for misbehaving. You should be focusing on the new one that replaced them, because they're great. You love them. They work with you, right? And that's how it is in life. So it's been about an hour, longer than we said, but we said we didn't know. I'm going to look back at comments, try to finish that up and close. You're welcome to share feedback of anything you felt or experienced, or just in general. When you want only love, you will see nothing else. Isn't that like a perfect summary? Thank you for your holy godhood and the gifts that you give to us all. This is a private message. By your endless and tireless prayers and constant outpouring of love and blessings to the whole world. Love you. Thank you. Whoever you be, because it doesn't have your name. Can we please have a copy and recite the prayers, the decrees? No, you can't. Not easily anyway. There's several pages each. And I don't know how or where we put that yet. What we will do is probably people that sign up for the 1 year, like if we get people to do a once a month, we probably will make those public to them. We might even do it here, I don't know. And if we do, I don't even know how we'll tell you. This is all just off the cuff, So sorry about that. And you can watch this program and record them and even transcribe them. There you go. Just a little extra step or two for you, and you have them. We live in a world of cause and effect. Only that which is eternal is real. That's right. Love is the currency of creation. Well, you know what, Carrie? That's 3 for 3 brilliant statements. Well inspired, dear. Is this going to happen in our lifetime? Yes. Thank you for this wonderful prayer, Lizzie. It could be. It's up to us. It is. Time is running out, and we are not victims of that. Remember that. We designed the clock when we left. Let the alarm go off when it gets near, 2012 or whatever. Let the alarm go off. Well, it went off when it reached 1998. Push the snooze button. It goes off again, 2008. It's going to go off. 2012 was another in between kind of a signal. The alarm's going off. And when you say, is this going to happen in our lifetime? Yes, but the human Michael, here's what I would like to say. You know what? I would like it to all happen after I'm done incarnating for the last time, and then y'all can sort it out. That's what I would like to say, the human Michael. That would be great. I'm open to that. But the spiritual knowing of Michael is this. Let's get it done and let's go home. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's go. The goal, the light at the end of the tunnel is far more worth it than the stuff that exists in the tunnel. So hang in there. I had many people, family who passed came in to be with me during the prayer. Oh, good to hear, hon. Good. I feel this is a long process over time, but these are the beginning of end times changes Jesus alluded to. Darn right. What's coming next? We'll see. I went through a 3-month period of forgiveness, have no toxicity in my life. I'm feeling blessed. And we need more of this community. Thank you for the prayers tonight and the assistance of our prayers. Everything ends. But after the beginning, there's another beginning, right? The beginning is of a collective. But do you want your endings to just become new beginnings of the same ending? See, there is a point where this is what I used to call it teaching way back in the 90s when most of you were in kindergarten. In the 90s, the way I used to teach it is there's all these staircases, and that's called evolution. It's painful, it sucks, wears off your legs, your knees get old, it does. The stairs, that's lifetimes. There's something called an elevator. Get in. Home. Boom. And that's every time you forgive, you're getting in the elevator. I swear to you, every time you forgive, it's synonymous with getting in the elevator, because you can't forgive without getting to the top floor and accessing the divine in you that will forgive. The moron doesn't forgive. The part of us living in the basement, that doesn't know how to forgive. When you forgive, you're getting in the elevator, getting to your higher self, and you're forgiving. Also when you love, also when you commune with God. So why don't we just live more in the elevator, that column of light down the center? Mic drop. Okay, everything ends. And that the earth is a living being that dies and is reborn like all other, and in the time to transform yourself, work on yourself so we can be part of creating a new earth. It's right. Cyclical. We choose new society of life. Thanks, for this. I am so glad I looked at my email. Me too. All of us are. I am so grateful to be a part of this uplifting, meaningful, prayerful. Yeah, it's for all of us. And I will continue to pray and bring the consciousness of Christ within me to others. What is coming next in terms of challenges? Oh yeah, so you're going to be persistent, are you? We'll see. I'll come back to that if I can, but I won't go a lot into that. What an amazing prayer. Thank you. I love this so much. Thank you. Thank you. I feel at peace and centered in God. I promise I'll do my best to spread love and peace like a virus. Bless you, Carol, likens for forgiving, as this is hard work we were asked to do by Christ. That's right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for our collective presence. Thank you, for being obedient to share this. I felt a great weight lifted today. My life thus forth has prepared me from what's to come. I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I will not be afraid. It didn't say there's no valley of the shadow of death. It's focusing on I'm not afraid because God's with me. I have had massive bloody noses the past 2 weeks. Is this part of it? It can be, because if you haven't had them before, and if it's pressure in here, it can cause that, as well as sinus plugging and all. It can happen. That doesn't mean every cold is an ascension process. I just got in and felt all the beauty of the prayer. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. The decrees are so powerful. No more posts, please. Thank you for this. So glad I caught part. Looking forward to the replay. You'll love it. Thank you. So uplifting. I felt a massive amount of spiritual energy today and a miracle shift in consciousness. I've been sober for a bit now, and I wanted just to say thank you so much. God truly is all you need, and thank you for everyone to be contributing to this mission. And the only thing that matters, love and light. Thank you, Eric. And I want to say, Eric, congratulations on getting clean, sober, and whatever else you've done in your life. And it's important that you remember there's the broken addict, us, there's the recovering us, there's the recovered. So your goal, the recovery, is the dark night, just like the world's going through a dark night. So the world is going through its total addiction and its withdrawals from addiction all at the same time. But sobriety is the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's beyond words. Thank you, Michael team, everyone. I appreciate being part of this community. It's nice to feel sane again. I hope I get to meet everyone in person one day. Yes, we all do, and that would be really cool. Thank you, MM and staff. Thanks to everyone in Energy and brought love here. Amazing. Something woke me up at 2:30 in the UK, and the first thing I did, wow, was check my emails, something I never do in the middle of the night. Woo! Woohoo! Pauline. There was a voice. Check your emails. Isn't that magical? God. Thank you so much, iPhone with no name. Love you and hope to come and visit next year sometime. Yeah, that would be beautiful. All right, so no more posts at all, please. Draw the line there, Valerie. God bless you and thank you. And remember, guys, this is a spiritual experience. It's not a religious one, but some of the characters within religions are playing a part. There are archangels and they're playing a part, but not all traditions honor archangels. There are light beings that some people don't believe in, from Sirius star system, Arcturus star system, and others. And they're here helping us, and they will participate in this ascension process. Ascension is another word for the Christian word for rapture. It's all the same, but very slightly in the tone, the wording, and the interpretation. But just understand it's the same. And let's please open our hearts right now and accept. I am willing to hear God speak to me, whether it's through light beings, Michael as a teacher, each other in the program, but also I invite you, Mother Mary, because you're the symbol. Jesus is the embodiment of Christ. Mary is the embodiment of the mother. She's a wonderful symbol, as is Gaia, as is Kuan Yin. But we don't minimize the role of this being, Mary. Let's allow her to be Kuan Yin, pouring out of one bottle the compassion to the universe. Mary is not a judgment process. Her role is actually simply to say, children, it's time. We're getting on the beautiful purple and gold bus and we're going home. So I just want you to prepare. And she is serious in the sense that she's scared for us, sad for us, but we need to say, we're here, we're listening, and be aware. If and when you smell rose scent in the room and you happen to not have rose oil out, it's something. When you see symbols in your meditation, like purple flames, it can be Archangel Michael, it can be an ascended master. When you see a sword of light, Archangel Michael, violet flames, and some of these symbols. But you don't have to see special effects. You're already deserving of everything. So let's just go. Let's just ride it. The wave is coming. Let's go. And some of this is overlapping into the bigger picture of what's happening in the world. I apologize. And some of you are asking for more, and I won't do that because it's going to take too much time. Let's get through this first. And I'm telling you, please remember this. If we can hold light through each of these things, you're going to feel more confident to be able to handle the next one. If you think of all of them at once, you're going to get overwhelmed. You'll blow a fuse. You'll have a spiritual aneurysm. Okay, it's too much. So let's be faithful for today and get through that and then go, wow. If nothing blows up this week, don't be tempted. You might be tempted, but don't play into it. Well, I guess, maybe nothing was going to happen anyway. Just hold the light and let's go. If you see it, we're giving thanks in advance that our prayers were heard, right? Whether the world conforms to that or not, that's their issue. I don't care. I'm just doing my part. I'm holding it as the truth. Susan, I see spirits in the room with MM. Yeah, I can see them and feel them. I'm trying to keep an eye on you guys because I'm seeing other things back there. Can we please have a copy of the prayer to recite? No, not right now. Just not right now. Although we have an Awakening Christ Consciousness workshop starting on Thanksgiving, all of those attendees do get a copy of them. What you can do here, it's free, is listen to them and transcribe them, or whatever you want to do off of Zoom to get a copy of what I shared. What I shared was only a few decrees from each of the 4 torso chakras and the upper 3 as 1 spiritual chakras. I just shared a few. There are probably 5 pages of those decrees for each of those 5 centers, and they're very powerful. You have a daughter in Sedona. Nice. You feel the spirits in the room with me. Good. Good, Sherry. Good. Great. Are we able to replay this in Zoom? Yeah, it's in your email. It says you can replay it. Is that correct, Valerie? Okay. So it should be available for replay. If not, I'm going to post Valerie's personal cell number right here. And you can all eke out retribution. No, kidding. Guys, thank you for your time and patience. We have quite a few people that had signed on, but thank you for your time and patience. 1 sec. Okay. Yeah, thank you. I know it was short notice, and God bless that so many of you got the guidance. And those of you who might be watching later, don't worry, like if you didn't miss it, you didn't get your email in time, please don't turn that into something else to judge yourself for. Just watch the thing. There is no time. You're with us now. Okay. If I didn't fulfill something you thought I was going to do, I apologize. Forgive me. I know not what I do. And if I did and you enjoyed this, I'm really grateful for that. Let's know that we've made a difference. And I can promise you, there is a God. It does answer prayers. We did pray. So if you see something on a 0 to 10 scale tomorrow this week, let's say that's an 8 in intensity, I promise you it was a 10 and you brought it down to an 8. If it's a 6, it was an 8 and you brought it down to a 6. You follow? You made a difference. Get this one right so we can handle the next one. And we'll soon talk about the next ones. You feel blessed? Right on. Right on, Jenny. Thank you. God bless you all. Peace be with you all. Thanks for joining me with this. We'll see you.